Hello, brothers and sisters. Happy Friday to you. I hope that you are doing well. If you've noticed, the training this month isn't a new skill or ability. It's just talks meant to provide us all the uplift we might need at this time of year. So if you haven't clicked on that current training button on the homepage and listened to the talks or watched them and maybe shared a comment with us, I'd invite you to do so. I want to share a couple of ideas with you about our study this week because I think there's something we can help students understand about the Lord and about themselves as we study Genesis 24 through 27 this week. You maybe have already noticed that the word way or journey or path shows up repeatedly in Scripture, and especially in these chapters in the Old Testament, as Abraham and his family are on a journey here and there. One of my favorite usages of the word is in chapter 24, verse 27, where the servant of Abraham, after he's had success in finding Rebekah, attributes his success to the Lord and says it this way: I, being in the way, the Lord led me to the house of my master's brother. I love the way our teacher's manual explains this truth. It says, I'm combining two truths, but it says, if we develop righteous qualities now and have faith in the Lord, He will lead us, or He will provide a way for us. And I love that truth. I also want to make sure that as we emphasize that truth, that we also are realistic about what that way might look like. I've recently appreciated the distinction of what the straight and narrow path is in the Scriptures. When we talk about a straight and narrow path, we often portray it as a straight or linear path. But if you notice the spelling of that phrase, every time it appears, it's not S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T, it's S-T-R-A-I-T. And that's a very different word. A straight, without the G-H, is a narrow passage between two obstacles. Right here we have the Straits of Hormuz, which takes sailors from the Persian Gulf to the Indian Ocean. It's a narrow passage between two obstacles. To tell the truth is that the Lord provides for us a way to get us from where we're at to where He sees us and where we can be. But it's not always a very linear A to Z path. And we want to help students understand this because we want them to know that if they make mistakes, if they wander from side to side, they're not out of the Lord's focus and they're not out of His way. As long as they have faith in Him and are focused on Him as their guide, they are in the way. Because the Lord's way for us to grow and develop incorporates our human experience. In other words, it's okay for us to make mistakes. That's part of the plan. It's not something that indicates when the plan has gone wrong. That is the plan. That is the way. How else can we grow and develop if we aren't allowed to learn? And so I love both that the Lord provides a way for us and that He allows us, our human experience, to grow and develop in that way. You've heard our administrator of seminaries and institutes, Brother Chad Webb, say this. I've emphasized it recently. We want to move from only praising the ideal in seminaries and institutes to also honoring the struggle. Now notice, we're not moving from praising the ideal. We will never not focus clearly on Christ and His gospel in seminary. That is the answer to the question, and we will always teach the answer to the question. But we also want to honor the struggle students might be facing and that we might be facing as we navigate our way to that ideal. In other words, we want to make sure that we're very clear about what the questions are and where they're coming from and what experiences surround those questions. We want to be as clear about that as we are about the answers the Lord can provide. And so as you study with students this week, you've got a great text in front of you where you're going to see people doing very human things on their way to following the Lord. And we want to make sure that we give them and ourselves the space to do that. A couple of examples of what we might do this week as we study this with students. I love Rebekah in Genesis 24. She's one of my favorite scriptural characters because she holds both of these principles in balance in her own life. I love that she's chosen for her kindness and that she is immediately obedient. How many times is she described as running to be obedient to something that's asked of her? I also like that she's willing. I love in chapter 24, verse 58, when her family asks her, doesn't compel her, but asks her about her willingness to go with Abraham's messenger, and she just simply says, I will go. I love her confession of willingness. It's to Rebekah that the Lord provides the revelation, when she's pregnant with twins, that the elder shall serve the younger. I think that's an important thing to understand because it makes Rebekah's actions understandable in the next chapter. She's not trying to hoodwink Isaac into doing something he doesn't want to do. She is trying to fulfill a revelation the Lord has given her. She's doing it in a very human way, which is understandable because she's human. I love that the Lord both honors her struggle and provides a way for her to fulfill the covenant that he has blessed her and her family with. And so, as you study this with students, you might ask them some questions like this. What does it mean to you, or what does it make you think about yourself, to see the Lord so patiently guiding Rebekah? When have you experienced the Lord leading you, quote, in the way? You might add to that, have you ever had experiences where the way he led you wasn't what you expected? Or where you tried to go your own way only to find out that he had a better one? And then I would love this one. What do you sense the next step is the Lord would have you take on your way back to him? I would love to be in a seminary class where those questions are asked because they help span the both principles. They're very clear that the Lord provides a way for us and also open up a space for students to talk about their own journey as they travel that way. And so in all that you do this week, I would invite you to help students see both the Lord's loving kindness and guidance and accept their own humanity in coming to him. As one final thought, just for fun, John Adams, President John Adams, at the end of his life, wrote a letter to artist John Trumbull. President Adams had heard that John Trumbull was going to paint a giant portrait of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and that he was going to paint it in a very favorable light. And so John Adams writes, and this is from his letter, he says, "Truth, nature, fact should be your sole guide. Let not our posterity be deluded by fictions under pretense of poetical or graphical licenses." In other words, let's not sugarcoat the past. Our children need to know what it was like so they can see themselves in the story. And then he continues, "Who of your profession will undertake to paint a debate or an argument? Who will paint the arguments in the council chamber? Here the revolution commenced. Then and there the child was born." We could say the same thing about this story this week. In these human wrestles is where people came closer to God. And to sugarcoat or to streamline the wrestle is to diminish the experience we might have in getting there. Lin-Manuel Miranda, in his play Hamilton, proposed starting the play with this song or this rap. "You ever see a painting by John Trumbull, founding fathers in a line looking all humble, patiently waiting to sign a declaration to start a nation? No sign of disagreement, not one grumble. The reality is messier and richer, kids. The reality is not a pretty picture, kids. Every cabinet meeting is a full rumble. What you're about to see is no John Trumbull." It'd be fun to help your students see that what they're going to read in the scriptures is no John Trumbull, and that's okay. We want them to see themselves in the story, and we want them to sense the Lord's loving guidance to them. And so, brothers and sisters, God bless you in all that you do. Good luck this week, and we'll talk to you soon.